Welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic. Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy. And today's video is brought to you from The Gathering Place, who are hosting a charity event for Extra Life, August 18th through 20th in Durham, North Carolina. They got a Modern 10K, Legacy 5K, Pioneer 5K, Commander events, charity auctions, artists on site, vendors, etc., etc. Looks like a really cool event. If you want to check that out, this QR code here is scannable, or all their links will be in the video description. Seems like a great event for a great cause. Check that out. The deck that I'm playing today is a crazy one that I'm very excited about. This list comes from LOTR MTG. Many of my viewers equate me with hot Bant 4-color control Uro piles, but really, LOTR is on the cutting edge anytime new cards come out to try something crazy, and this one met all my expectations. I wanted to play the One Ring. Haven't played that on the channel yet. I also wanted to play Delighted Halfling. Haven't played that on the channel yet. And of course, LOTR has both in the same deck. This is a card, Delighted Halfling, that I've been very excited about since the spoiler season. 1 green for a 1/2, taps for a colorless, or taps for any color, and you can only spend it. That spell can't be countered. Legends in the deck that we can make uncounterable and accelerate include Teferi Time Raveler. Pretty good one to have on turn 2 that's uncounterable. Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. The One Ring. Doesn't say legendary creature, just legend. And Minsc. All of these are things that opponents would probably like to counter if they could, especially Teferi, the One Ring, and Minsc. Uro kind of has built-in counterspell protection, but still, like, it happens. A lot of really messed up cards to accelerate into play and make sure they resolve off Delighted Halfling, excuse me. And the One Ring is just a spicy draw engine. This thing is showing up everywhere. This card is like 100 tickets plus on Magic Online right now. It's expensive in real life too. Turns out a colorless, indestructible draw engine that honestly comes at pretty low cost to use and abuse is pretty good in high power formats. Quickly becoming a modern staple. Redefined a number of legacy archetypes. And this is the first time I'm going to have it in play during this league. I'm very excited to play this thing. Obviously, pre-ordered a bunch of copies. Basically, every EDH deck wants one. And I'm looking forward to getting reps with this one. All this tucked inside a very normal kind of hot Bant shell. There's no life from the Loam in the 75. That's a thing that there's not room for. I'm going to make a little adjustment here. The third terminus in the sideboard, I'm going to turn it into a Deafening Silence. And I'm actually going to turn the Force of Negation, the second Force of Negation in the main deck, into a Life from the Loam. Making a couple adjustments on the fly here. LOTR's list is from a 4-round Swiss event, prelim, which is slightly different than a league. I can't imagine in a Moto League where combo runs amok that we would want a third terminus in the sideboard. Actually, I just talked myself into main decking the Force of Negation again, putting Loam in the sideboard. Okay, now we're a little better against combo, and we're a little better against decks with Caracas, or ones where we would need a Loam Wasteland decks. Having Mana Dorks makes you better against Wasteland decks, but these are just little adjustments I'm going to make on the fly here that I think will help us out in the long term. The Delighted Halfling angle to this deck makes it slightly different than other hot Bant decks, though. You're really just kind of trying to play from ahead and shove permanents into play. This is very much a tap-out control deck. I do like the 6 forces for that reason. And we're just betting that our cards are better than theirs. Let's see if it's true. This is 4-color hot Bant by LOTR, sponsored by The Gathering Place. Go check out their charity event coming up, and let's play this league. I'm on the draw in round 1. This hand, kind of a mess. 2 copies of the One Ring, 1 land, no way to dig for more, no acceleration. Gonna mulligan that. Here we go. Ponder and Delighted Halfling, both in the mix here. I'm keeping this hand. I probably send Minsc to the bottom, as much as I don't like it. But mulligan's hurt. What are we going to do? I'd rather have Force of Will and keep my Ponder. Ponder from the opponent off of an Underground Sea. Looks like opponent also mulled a 6. Oh my god. There's the turn 2 Teferi, uncounterable. Let's see if it sticks. We need a green source here. Green-white would tie the room together with all my colors. Yeah, I should probably plan for a world where this halfling isn't in play. And just get all 4 of my colors under me. Very excited to see how this actually plays. I had delighted halflings in my cart before I had Orcish Bowmasters. That's how excited I was for this card. They were obviously both first round draft picks in the pre-order pick order, but still, this one came first. Thoughtseize. Well, I have 2 forces. I'm going to let them Thoughtseize me. I'm not going to try to force twice. Force the thoughts. Like, I end up losing all my cards in that world. Probably not going to live the turn 2 Teferi Dream. Force of Will is gone. Dark Ritual on the stack. Okay, so they have Day's Doomsday here. Well, I mean, they obviously have protection. Yep, okay. I am gonna get my uncounterable Teferi in play. It's gonna draw a card. I don't know if that's gonna matter. I basically need to run a runner, force blue card off of my draw step plus my Teferi draw. Yeah, double protected turn 2 Doomsday though. That's what this deck does. It's very good. This list does not have any endurances or dress downs in it, which are our best tools against Doomsday as a Bant core deck. Remember in the deck tech though when I said I don't think we're going to need 3 Terminus? So far it's bearing out. They've made their choices. We got 1 card in hand that's not an Underground Sea. Not going to try to deduce anything. I'm going to screenshot their deck though, just in case we need for their information. Okay, Prismatic Ending, probably not helpful. Uncounterable Teferi though. Let's get that in. And minus target nothing. I would like to draw a card. 2 Prismatic Endings, just what you want against Doomsday. I fully suspect that we're dead right now. Street Wraith. Brainstorm. Just have to go land Lotus Petal, GG here. Yeah, going for it with 2 cards left in their deck, this Prismatic Ending almost would have been good enough if the Teferi had come down and it had flashed somehow, but it doesn't, obviously. Tight. Okay, Doomsday. Veil of Summer is solid. Pyroblast helps against the setup. Surgical can mess up their pile, or if we counter a Doomsday, get rid of all of them. Deafening Silence, I go back and forth on against Doomsday. It lets you win the counter wars, but it makes it really hard to cantrip and catch up if you're behind it all. They're probably going to have Shieldrids, maybe Oppo Agents, maybe Bowmasters, just a bunch of stuff that I can't cut all my removal for, but I'm going to cut a lot of it. I think the One Ring is probably a little slow here. I want some copies, but just not the full boat. And here we go. Got a Surgical, a Force that doesn't pitch to anything. I'm going to keep this, though. If I can accelerate my Hobbit. Although it's not uncounterable, I do have turn 2 Hardcast Force of Negation available, as long as I fetch a blue source here. Because the Hobbit only taps her colorless for that card. I need to get Tropical Island to play this, and then play Volcanic Island next turn. And I can hardcast a Force, and the turn after that shove Minsc. I'm making all these big plans, like this isn't a deck with 6 Duresses and 8 free counterspells in it. But I'm allowed to dream. Okay. My thoughts. It did take the Force. Second Halfling. Okay, I mean, I'm not bluffing anything here. I'll play the other Halfling, make sure this Minsc can show up next turn, and I'll start getting damage in. I could YOLO Surgical Polluted Delta and try to screw them off lands, but I think letting Doomsday resolve and then scrambling up their pile is probably a better use of that card. And they play Duress and Thoughtseize, so stripping the Thoughtseize, yes, it doesn't even guarantee that I get Minsc, which I would have done if they were only a Thoughtseize deck, but they're not. Yep, taking Minsc, cutting the clock out from under me. Makes perfect sense. And Dark Ritual Doomsday, as we do. Cool. Absolute slaughter, this matchup. This matchup is close. I would say it's like 55-45, still in favor of Doomsday, if you have Dress Down and Endurance and specific tools to fight what they're doing. And if you don't, you're just in the crap. 6 Force of Wills in your deck does not beat Doomsday, not even close. Opponent does go to 7 off of this Doomsday resolving. There's 1 more Minsc and Boo in the deck. Ugh, doesn't feel good. Also, Protection from Everything does not stop Thassa's Oracle from working. I was joking with my friends the other day, the scene in The Hobbit where Frodo's running from the Nazgul and he puts on the ring and the Nazgul are still there, but they're like the ghostly king form that they used to be instead of the wraiths they are now, in like that flowy yellowish light. I just imagine slipping on the One Ring and seeing Thassa's Oracle in front of me in that flowing yellowish light, and Still's just stabbing me with a evil shadow sword anyway. But yeah, that's what's happening here. Okay, let's take a draw step and hope for a good one. Minsc and Boo is still my best draw. And this really was the type of game that maybe we have a chance in with the Minsc and Boo, because it puts them to 3 immediately, and then I scramble their pile with Surgical, and then they're dead on the next turn. But obviously they took the card that I care about. Okay, Brainstorm, Street Wraith in their hand with 2 Thassa's Oracles. They actually can't miss here, no matter what. And they have Duress. They're holding Brainstorm Wraith. Okay. Can't possibly miss. Now I have the choice of playing this halfling or just representing the possibility of Dress Down or Endurance. It's not like they can play around this, so it probably doesn't matter. But, like, if I play the halfling, it puts lethal on board, but I know they can kill me. All I can do is hope that they don't go for it, which doesn't make any sense, because obviously they're going to. Yep, got me. With 2 cards left in your deck, you could cycle Street Wraith even if I had a removal spell. Yep, terrible matchup for this deck, and opponent came out blazing both games. Nothing you can do there. This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there. On the draw in round 2, I got some lands, a halfling, and force backup I'm going to keep. Good enough, I hope. Scalding Tarn from the opponent into basic island. Alright. Are we show and tell, or are we a normal, honest Magic the Gathering deck? Do not shuffle or ponder. More Hobbitses. Gonna get one out there. Show and tell confirmed. Oh, I'm gonna cast a Force of Will and hope it works. Though it rarely does. Okay, we're in there. That means they have more than one. How about a Teferi Time Rattler or some powerful legend I can shove to play? Oh, I'll take that though. Wasteland, cut your mana out from under you. Play another Hobbit and attack with the first one. I don't ask for much, but it'd be really cool if my opponent missed their land drop and passed the turn without playing a card. They had a land drop. Okay, deck, Minsc and Boo. The One Ring. Ponder is a good start. I'll do that. Teferi with a Ponder underneath it. Okay. I'm not going to shuffle, and I am going to cast Teferi. Teferi's on the stack, cannot be countered. Brainstorm in response. Now we're never on that, that's fine. I'm going to plus Teferi here, because if they play a show and tell, I'm going to need to bounce whatever's under it, and this Ponder on top of my deck is not going to help me survive the turn. I also suspect this is not a deck that can answer Teferi in the main deck. And I don't need another land. If I minus Teferi now, I'm going to get the Ponder now, and then the land under it in my draw step. And I would rather just not do any of that. Oh no, Ancient Tomb. Okay, Sneak Attack resolves. Please don't have Lotus Petal or Simian Spirit Guide right now. They had the Spirit Guide. Okay, yep. Opponent had everything. I sacrifice a Halfling and discard Scalding Tarn. And they can attack. Well, this is actually interesting, because if they attack Teferi, I can sack that and take no damage. If they attack me, I can sack Halfling and bounce Sneak Attack next turn. They're attacking Teferi, which means I'm going to sack Teferi to the ability. Still in bad shape here. But that wasn't Emrakul, is what I'm saying. I Ponder on top of my deck. Sometimes you wasteland an opponent and then they still have 7 mana on turn 4. What are you going to do? Okay, Ponder's on top right now. Let's look for something that helps. In the One Ring might help next turn. And now we're in that spicy spot where all we can do is hope they don't have another monster. And I am attacking. If they put in Grizzlebrand and block, like friggin' whatever, that was going to kill me anyway. Okay, fingers crossed. Brainstorm. Please miss and pass the turn. Ponder. Uh-oh. Okay. Hopefully we see a shuffle, because they have to work through the Brainstorm cards here. They chose to shuffle. Pass the turn. Pass the turn. No! No! Stop it. Stop it now. Ugh. Alright, fine. Whatever. Force of Will, Wasteland, still dead. Doesn't matter. This one we have more game against than Doomsday, at least. This matchup still sucks, though. Containment Priest, Deafening Silence. Force of Vigor can kill Omnisciences and Sneak Attacks. Surgical removes part of their deck once any of it's in the graveyard. Terminus, not great here. One Ring I was actually pretty stoked about. Swords to Plowshares, bad against Grizzlebrand and Emrakul, good against Archon. And if they juke onto Vesuvan Drifter, it's solid there. Or if they have Magus of the Moon after board. I'm going to continue considering the Plows. Prismatic Ending can take out Defense Grid. It's a card they might have. Okay, I'm going to leave in my Acceleration and everything that I can shove into play that's high impact and cut all this removal. Probably want Veil of Summer in as well, and then Prismatic Endings out. Veil of Summer can brick an Archon trigger, and it can win a counter war. Those two modes are both interesting to me. What's my plan for Defense Grid? Force it on the way down, bounce it with Teferi are my options. Magus of the Moon, complete nightmare. I would have to leave up white forever just in case that's a card they play. Okay, I'm gonna submit my deck as it is. On the play, I will keep this hand. I think the deck has a Taiga. Does. Good. I want Taiga Halfling here. That gets all my colors under me and just hope they don't turn 1 me. Taiga Halfling. Fetching red here instead of Tropical Island is just going to tell them I have Pyroblast in my hand. Just might as well just say it to them in the chat right now. Ponder, I am going to play it. It costs me Hydroblast, but the thing they do on turn 2 is red, and the thing they do on turn 4 is blue. Or vice versa. The red blast is good on turn 2, the blue blast is good on the following turn. I think I should put this Wasteland in my hand and keep this, and focus on getting the One Ring down. And I'm not going to attack with my Hobbit because that can pay for days if I Pyroblast a Show and Tell this turn. Land go, land go. How about the One Ring? It's also just a mega spicy thing to put in off Show and Tell, but that's not how I'm going to do this. One Ring's on the stack, can't be countered. Brainstorming in response. Fetching again. And the One Ring is in. I have protection from everything this turn. That won't help. I see them fetching basics over there. Oh, that's because I have Wasteland in play. Not necessarily indicative that they're about to Moon. Or they wouldn't need basic Mountain to do that. Okay. I'm not going to read this as Moon. I'm going to read it as there's a Wasteland face up. This Ponder is good. Any mana they spend on anything other than shoving a win the game spell right now is good for me, because this ring is about to take over. Defense grid, okay. I am over the hump on being able to pay for a grid with my 1 mana counter spells. And let's draw some cards. Pyroblast, then I take 1, then I draw a card, then I can draw 2 cards. Oh, Containment Priest is really good. I'm going to draw 2 cards. Let's go. Uro. Uro into Containment Priest is a vibe here. If I ponder and find a land, I can cast 3 spells this turn. Or I could just take what I'm given and cast 2 spells and just Uro into Containment Priest. I'm going to do Uro because if I hit a land, I might still double spell without risk, or triple spell without risking the double spell. Hit a land? Oh yeah. It's even Karakas, my goodness. I'm not going to triple spell. I'm just going to put Karakas and Containment Priest onto the battlefield. Bang. This turn brought to you by the One Ring. Okay, so they're going to have to kill me with a non-legendary creature that did not come into play through illegitimate means. A Braid. Okay, that's a start. Can't fight back on that one. Ring now draws 3 cards if I tap it. There's only 4 cards in my graveyard for Uro. If I ponder, I can put Uro into play here. If I find Teferi, I can clear the defense grid. Oh, I don't have blue, blue, green, green, actually, because I pondered. Okay, I'm going to put Force of Will on the bottom of the pile. Draw the Force of Negation now. I can hardcast this, and I'm setting up for Uro next turn, and I can draw 3 cards if I need to. Zubin Drifter. This can resolve, or I guess I just Pyroblast it. Yeah, I'm just going to Pyroblast it on the stack. And then I'm going to draw 3 cards with the One Ring. I'm just going to stay greedy here and bury my opponent. This Teferi now goes nuts. I can bounce the grid and then just be pretty safe. Blue. Do I tap Karakas to get Uro into play? I think I do. If I clear this grid, I have so many counter spells now, they're not getting through this. And then green, green, blue, blue. Uro's in. I'd love a fetch land here. Got it. Okay, fetch land. And I can play Wasteland. Uro regaining the life that I'm losing from the One Ring, as Garfield intended, as Peter Jackson intended. The defense grid comes back down. I'm gonna force it, and then I can use my various blasts to continue the fight from there. I'm gonna Force of Negation, pitching Uro. Red blast. I think I want to blue blast this. Just keep the party going. Get Volcanic Island to do it. Hydroblast. Brainstorm is now just fully Force of Will fodder because the One Ring is overcoming everything. And do I want 4 cards and to start losing 4 life a turn? I think it's fine. This is the first time I played with this card. I'm going insane. Oh yeah, they're just scooping to the top. Yeah. One Ring. The Zubin Drifter confirmed. Might want some Swords to Plowshares in here. Veil of Summer can probably kick rocks. And is Deafening Silence actually where I want to be? Oh wait, maybe I want Prismatic Endings in. And because those I can hit the Zubin Drifter with, and also Defense Grid. Sure, 2 permanents I don't like. And my cuts, I can decide that Deafening Silence isn't where I need to be. I can also cut an Uro, who's kind of a clunker, and you don't need more than 1 in this matchup because they don't have exile-based removal. I would say the One Ring, but that was bonkers what just happened. Okay, I'm going -1 Uro and +2 Prismatic Endings. I've got a Force of Negation double Halfling One Ring hand. I'm going to keep this. We know how I am about Ponder. Volcanic Island, Ponder from the opponent. A respectable start. Did not shuffle their Ponder. That's lucky. I'd love a land here. Did it. Easy, easy, always had it, etc. I think Tropical Island Halfling is the play. Whereas last game I told them I have Pyroblast in my hand. This game I told them I don't, based on how I fetched. But Ponder and Brainstorm are part of this game plan, and I actually do just want a blue source, and playing your own game is more important than bluffing some nonsense to your opponent. See if they just crack off in a braid on this. Okay, they didn't crack off in a braid, and they didn't play defense grid. Those were the two things. And a braid's fine, but defense grid would have been real unfortunate there. Okay. I don't think I'm playing my second halfling. Deafening Silence is the only card that I would want to main phase. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna fetch land go here. This gives me the most options to Force of Negation something, Brainstorm, cast a Hydro or Pyroblast, and still pay for days, rather than adding to my board when I don't really need a 5th mana if I have an uncounterable One Ring next turn. Zuvan Drifter. This one I'll Brainstorm in response. Here's Prismatic Ending. I could also just shove Minsc and Boo next turn. This Hobbit's not helpful, and I'll float Minsc and Boo on top. Okay, this card's going to resolve. And if they have Grizzlebrand on top of their deck, they can draw a bunch of cards right now. That's the only monster I care about. And I am going to draw for my turn. Draw this Minsc and Boo. And I think I just shove an uncounterable One Ring here. But then if they copy... Yeah, if they copy a Emrakul, I lose all my permanents. I still get annihilated even if I don't take 15 damage, and that's not going to work for me. I don't have access to white. I would have to fetch Savannah here, white, blue, green. Okay, Savannah, white, green, blue. I think it's my due diligence to remove this possible game ender rather than shove the One Ring and LOL to the bank. Next turn I can shove One Ring and hold up Karakas against possible Emrakul flips. Still leaving Halfling up to pay for days. Sneak attack. Force of Negation. They've been holding up Pyroblast the whole game. I just hope that if they Pyroblast here, they also don't have a bonus red source. Okay, it looks like they don't have a bonus red source. That's not the uncounterable Teferi I was looking for. I will play my One Ring. Oh, make sure I tap the Halfling for color, because you can cast One Ring off colorless. It's just bad. Okay, protection from everything. And I'm going to draw a card right away. Karakas is still my play. Getting the hooks in. Teferi's in the deck that can bounce sneak attack. They do have 2 red sources. 3 red sources, so if they have Emrakul, I can't actually Karakas my way out of this. Grizzlebrand's going to draw a Gajillion. But this one I don't care about, other than the fact that it can find Emrakul. I don't care about Archon, because I have protection and the trigger targets. It has to be Emrakul. And they have to do it with a red mana still available. Fury, nope. That kills Halfling, but I don't care. Protection from everything. And they, oh, they have another red source. Of course they do. They just drew 7. Okay, I mean, get in there. I'm not going to bounce Grizzlebrand, because then it's in their hand instead of dead. I am protected from all of this. No damage, thank you. There was a long pause after combat. I wonder if my opponent was reading the One Ring. Well, they clearly don't have Emrakul, or it would have happened. And we're going into a turn where I can draw 2 cards with One Ring. I'm going to start by doing that. The Fairy Time Reveler. I like that card. I think I play Wasteland first and go after the Volcanic Island, the untapped one. And then Teferi, white, blue, colorless, get in there. I'd rather leave up Caracas than play Delighted Halfling here. And they just did nothing about any of that. Sneak attacks back. And opponents have 4 life. And not doing anything with their 7 cards in hand, and now I have Teferi. Okay. Seems unlikely, but we're grinding back in. Oh, they're just dead. Oh no, they're not necessarily just dead. Because sneak attack can put something in the middle of combat. But what would they put in that they wouldn't just crunch me with before then? I'm going to activate One Ring and see if I can find a Hydroblast first. Because if I can Hydroblast sneak attack and they put nothing in, I just win. Not a Hydroblast. And holding up Caracas also does a lot of work here. Okay. I think I'm just going to go for the win. They can't block with a legend here. Going in. Okay, they do have an activation. And it's a joke, and they conceded. Cool. Yeah, just anything that they could have put in, they would have just done on their turn. They have multiple red to survive or overwhelm a Caracas. And Archon would have cleared Teferi and killed me. And yeah, there's just nothing that they would not have put into play there, I don't think. Cool. GG. One Ring taken over.
You come here to level up at Magic. To level up as a software engineer, check out the new YouTube series Dev Better, hosted by the founder of 7-Factor Software and Magic player, Jeremy Duvall. 7-Factor's small teams of high-performing engineers build custom mobile apps, APIs, and highly scalable systems for Fortune 500 companies and ambitious startups with great ideas. If you'd like to hire 7-Factor, or maybe join their team, contact them through their website at 7factor.io. And don't forget to subscribe to 7-Factor's YouTube for every episode of Dev Better.
On the draw for round 3 with 5 lands a row. There are lots of matchups where I would keep this hand, but I don't know that we're in one of them, so I'm going to mulligan it for now. All right, a much better hand. I'll keep and put, I think, the land to the bottom. Maybe it's Brainstorm. Yeah, I'll actually put Brainstorm on the bottom. Because this hand with Uro, it's not just about getting to 3 lands, it's about getting to 3, 4, 5, and beyond. Halfling would be sick. No love there. You do have to watch your fetches in these 4-color decks, because Flooded Strand doesn't get Taiga. There are some lands that don't get lands that you might want. Counterbalance in the main deck, you sick individual. Who does this? We live in a society. Well, I'm going to force pitching Brainstorm because I don't believe this card is beatable from this position. And if they force back, Brainstorm is the most counterable card in my hand. Okay, that sucked. Okay, I'm going to go for a Cheese Wasteland here. I don't normally advise this, but if this is a blue-white Miracles deck with Counterbalance that's built not to get Wastelanded, sometimes Wastelanding them just cuts them off a whole color for the whole game. And generally decks like this don't run out a non-basic if they can help it. Yeah, basic Island in play. Or basic Plains, okay. Or sometimes they just have the whole setup regardless. Okay, I'm gonna cast Teferi Time Raveler. And there's not a Plateau in the deck, which is the one that would get all my colors here, but I have Flooded Strand, so I'm not really worried about all my colors just yet. I can fetch Volcanic Island later. Okay, Teferi Time Raveler going on this deck. I don't really expect this to resolve. And I kind of expect my opponent to have Back to Basics in their deck. I'm still going to minus Teferi before it gets Prismatic Ended or some crap. Okay. If they shove Back to Basics here, I'm going to wish I had not minus Teferi, but if they do almost anything else, I'm going to be glad I did. Scalding Tarn, 3 mana confirmed. Volcanic Island. That's not something you fetch if you're about to shove Back to Basics. And rewarded for drawing the card right away. 2 for 1 achieved. I'm going to play Flooded Strand and Uro. And then Uro's going to put in Wasteland and clip this Volk. At least that's my plan right now. Oh, the One Ring. Waste your Volcanic Island. And I think if the One Ring resolves, we can never lose a matchup like this. Or if they shove Narset right now, I'm going to have to dance around it. I'll fetch Volcanic Island here and go for a One Ring. I could test with Uro first That's kind of free money. But so's the One Ring. This thing's so good if it sticks. I'm going in on it. Oh my god, it's just in. Holy moly. There's nothing I needed to play in my main phase there. I can draw a card later. I ordered a bunch of different foils and treatments of this for my various EDH decks that want it, but it had not occurred to me that I might need a set for Legacy play. Dang it, Hanzi. Okay. Yeah, I would also scoop to the One Ring on an empty board where my opponent has more resources than me. Good call. Fully expect Back to Basics or Blood Moon out of this deck. If it's Ruination, that sucks, but I'll play around the things that I can. Carpet of Flowers, big help here. Carpet of Flowers, Force of Vigor, I'll do the thing. Force of Vigor also, it's Counterbalance, a card that we saw. Swords to Plowshares, I'm going to cut entirely until they show me a reason to have that in my deck. Terminus, same deal. Blighted Halfling, excellent card that they didn't see this game, and they might be cutting a bunch of removal as well. I think my Force of Negations have been upgraded into all my 1 and 0 mana removal and interaction here. Play from the Loam could be good in this matchup, but I don't think I need that. Yeah, I'm going to rock it like so. This hand is full of cards that I love casting in this matchup, and also Pyroblast. Opponent has some sort of turn 1 play, probably a Ponder. Portent, okay, nice. Targeting me, that's aggressive. Okay. And I'm probably not going to draw a Delighted Halfling here. Instead, I drew Wasteland. I'm just going to leave Misty Rainforest here. They did not shuffle my deck, by the way, so they don't mind the cards that are there. I'm going to shuffle if they're not going to. And I'm going to get Tropical Island. I want to throw the scent off the very obvious Pyroblast, at least for a little bit. Scalding Tarn can fetch Taiga. But I'll just run out Volk here. I don't think this is my fight for Pyroblast. I'd rather hit a Planeswalker or counterbalance with it. Wow, no shuffle off Brainstorm. Just love every card that you have. Messed up. They passed into second main, then decided they want to cast a Ponder this turn. Oh yeah, Carpet of Flowers. That unlocks a lot of possibilities here. I'm going to play Scalding Tarn and run out this Carpet. I'm not going to be the first one to tap out into a Pyroblast and then lose the game. I will be the one to put Brainstorm on the stack for free here. And get rid of this Wasteland that is probably not helping. Wasteland Tundra on top of the deck, and I can pass the turn. Now I have Pyro and Hydroblast, and they're under the oppressive thumb of Carpet of Flowers. Correctly identified that I shuffled away my Wasteland and fetched a Tundra. Wow, still no shuffling the Brainstorms. Just loving every card. I am going to shuffle my Brainstorm, though. My cards are just lands, and I have Carpet that's good for 3 now. Just Dark Ritual every main phase. Don't mind if I do. I'll fetch Tundra here. I have another land. Oh, I redrew the Wasteland. Easy game. I would like to make mana, and I would like it to be blue. Blue, blue, blue. White. I'm going to start with Teferi. And I can still cast Minsc this turn, especially if Teferi resolves. And Teferi turns off Miracles. Alright, they're juggling my Brainstorm. Sure. Go ahead. I don't have any of those in my hand. Yeah, Teferi turns off the Miracle mechanic, which a deck with Portent must be using. That's just not even the 3rd or 4th best cantrip that we would play in a Legacy deck anymore, unless you have a very specific reason for playing that one. Surgical removed all my Brainstorms. They know what's in my hand. They know if they can win a counter war or not. They know if they can win this game or not, actually. It's all face up. Teferi could even do the trick here where it bounces Carpet of Flowers, then I replay it, and then it's a new Carpet for my second main phase, and I get a fresh 3 mana. I don't think that actually does anything this turn, but it is a cool line that exists with Teferi and Carpet. Just get 6 or 7 mana out of one card in a turn in a control mirror, while cantripping in between. Pretty good. Snapcaster Mage. Okay, so This can brainstorm or something. Is this where I'm pointing my Pyroblast? They could be walking me into something here, but this is still a pretty good target for Pyroblast. I'll take it. Okay, wow, yeah, they were just in desperation mode. I might actually refire the carpet here. If I do that, what does that look like? If I bounce carpet, replay it, second main, I can play Minsc and Boo, and I don't get the attack in, but I have Minsc and Boo in play. I could also just wasteland them and hold up Hydroblast. I think I want to take the refire on carpet and the redraw on Teferi. Hit a Pyroblast, that's good. Replay carpet. And I have to burn off this blue mana. Yes, make red. Now that I have Pyroblast in my hand, though, I might just play my Misty Rainforest and pass with Hydro or Pyroblast available. I don't know what they do about that. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna... The draw changed my information, and I'm just gonna pass into this. And they can probably deduce reasonably what I drew, because I didn't waste them and I didn't play Minsc and Boo, both of which were options for me. And instead, I decided to pass the turn with 1 mana available, with 1 unknown card in my hand. Fetched a basic Plains in the end step. If they've been building up to a Ruination, that barely even matters. It kills 3 of their lands, and I have Carpet. If they have back to basics, I drew the Pyroblast, and they fetched 2 Tundras this game. And they did fetch both of those Tundras. They had options to do something else with their fetch lands, and they did that. That is worthwhile information. Prismatic Ending on my Carpet, sure. I can still play Minsc and Boo next turn with Hydro or Pyroblast backup and Teferi on the board. Using the ending on Carpet instead of Teferi kind of tells me they don't have more counterplay, no more instants, which I also knew because Teferi resolved. That just confirms it. Draw for turn, plus Teferi, use Wasteland to cast Minsc and Boo, and continue holding up mana. I've been on the other side of this a lot lately, the trying to make Blue-White Axe, Jeskai work, and just getting pummeled by 4-color decks that have better cards than me. Kind of feels good to be on this side. Okay, opponent's going to die very fast from here. I can't counter white cards. I can counter red or blue cards. I have 2 of their 3 colors covered. If they have something like Shark Typhoon right now that doesn't stabilize the board or kill my Planeswalkers. Mystic Sanctuary targeting what? Targeting Brainstorm. Yep, go for it. I'm not impressed or worried about that play. I'm not going to counter the Brainstorm. I don't care about Supreme Verdict. They can't Terminus. They put 4 mana in the pool, then untapped all their lands. I wonder what they've got. Is there a Jace the Mind Sculptor over there, just waiting to get Pyroblasted? Snapcaster Mage. Targeting what? Doesn't matter. I think we've finally found something worth Pyroblasting. I think they have some sort of 4-drop in their hand that they were trying to play around. But the idea of just bashing them for 1 million this turn and then drawing 4 cards is pretty appealing. And I would hit them for 4 and draw 4 just to make sure I can never lose this game rather than put them to 3. I think 4 cards is worth more than 3 damage on this, like, 1 turn. And they scooped anyway, but yeah, that was a kicking. My cards were just better than theirs. And even though they have this beautiful mana base that I respect a lot, this sort of thing just hasn't been working for me lately. And here's why. Look at all these good cards I have. On to the next one.
The Command Tower software by Eminence Gaming is perfect for hosting TCG events. It features easy-to-create event registration for 1v1 and 4-player Swiss structure tournaments. Event management has never been so simple, and it's web-based, so there's no download required. Get access for just $5 at eminence.event/subscribe.
On the play for round number 4 against someone with a Black Lotus avatar, probably a combo deck. I'm going to keep this. I'm only like 51% kidding when I say that Black Lotus avatars are combo decks. That seems to be a pattern in MTGO. I wouldn't stake a tournament finals on it, but in the leagues, it's a thing I've taken note of. Watergrave. Okay, it's Death Shadow. Not a combo deck. At least not traditionally. They do play Reanimate and Grief these days. The other day on the channel, I believe this video will be out already. Oh, what is this? Troll of Khazad-dûm? Khazad-dûm? Swamp Cycling. Okay. That is something you'd want to reanimate. I like being an Uro deck versus Grief decks. But the other day on the channel, I'll finish my thought. Played against Death Shadow when I had a Atraxa in my opening hand. I was playing a Reanimator deck, and they were just like, Thoughtseize your Atraxa. Turn 2, Thoughtseize your Force of Will, reanimate your Atraxa. That was a good game. Okay, my opponent has snuffed out my creature and pitched this troll to reanimate Grief, and they did a lot of work to get my hand down to very little, except that the card I have left is Uro Titan of Nature's Wrath, which is known extremely well for farming discard decks. But my opponent just cycled a troll. Let's see if they have another reanimate. Okay, that's cool. That is certainly an interaction that exists now. This Troll of Khazad-dûm and the cycle it's in is shaking up Modern a lot in the Living End shell. Okay, I'm holding a green source. Savannah, does that do anything? Need to make sure I have blue, blue, green, green next turn. Probably should have done this in the other direction, because then if I use Taiga to play Uro, then I get to put a fetch land in play, then I have more options for like drawing Swords to Plowshares right now. That would have been a lot better. So that was a misstep from me there. I think I want to get Savannah. That does get blue, blue, green, green, and it has white, white. Oh, I don't need 2 red in the main. Okay, Savannah it is. Green, blue, colorless. Here's Uro. We're in there, gain some life. Put Taiga into play. I'll put Drop into play. It's still blue, blue, green, green. And they can't waste me off a color. I am 1 card short of escaping Uro next turn. Yikes. Okay, that's a big one. That's a card I did not want them to have. So I got to draw a fetch land here, and 2 of their creatures are functionally unblockable, and the other's a 9/9. Goodness. Well, I did draw the fetch land, and I'm still in trouble. I need to draw a Swords to Plowshares, so I have to fetch a white source. And green, green, blue, blue, leave up white. Right, Swords to Plowshares can stabilize here. Any other card. New Prismatic Ending is fine. Swords to Plowshares, you don't say. Okay. I think I'm going to try to for the mid-combat blowout. Giving them a draw step gives them the opportunity to have Force Blue card in their hand. Okay, so here's the play. Block Death Shadow, which I have to do anyway. And then plow the Troll, which will make Shadow a 3. Please don't have Spell Pierce. They're fetching in response. Interesting. Okay. I guess that is the same result. Fetching in response versus letting it resolve, then fetching. Okay. We're over the hump. I still have to stabilize against this Grief, which may or may not be easy to do. Second Uro coming is a redraw. Green, blue, colorless. Leave up the... trying to leave up the best combination of mana. Okay, I'll do it like this. Leave up the red. Second Uro draws the One Ring. Do they have Daze in their hand, and do I respect the fact that they might have Daze in their hand? Those are the 2 questions I have right now. They are a discard deck. They didn't have not surgical. Spell Pierce. Yeah, I'm not going to get my One Ring dazed here. I'm going to waste their Underground Sea and pass the turn. Hope they don't have a discard spell. No! No! Oh, that hurts. Playing around Daze. If they had Thoughtseize last turn, they would have played it. We could combat, so they just drew that card. That does feed Uro, though, who is very close to farming this game, and fetch land gets me there. I'll fetch another red source, just keep my colors green, green, and they're scooping it up. Okay. That was a slugfest back and forth. That was a lot of fun, actually. Okay. They are heavy enough on this reanimate plan to be playing Troll, which means I think I want Containment Priest. Card that I don't always reach for in this matchup, but I think is correct here. Pyroblast can beat up their cantrips. It doesn't counter any of their important blue cards. I don't know if this build of the deck's going to have Murktide Region in it. Death Shadow's been off Delver, generally speaking, for a long time. Not really worried about that. I played against Death Shadow with Palantir of Orthonk the other day, which I thought was ultimately worse than Court of Cunning, but was still that sort of 3-mana thing that is really good on a stable board. Am I going 0 Force of Will? Probably. Card is just not good in the matchup. You have some interest in Life from the Loam. Terminus actually good here. Teferi is kind of mid, but shoving it uncounterable on turn 2 is where I want to be with my life. Containment Priest, Veil of Summer, Carpet. I could go down a Pyroblast because I just said it's not a card that necessarily counters their important spells. And that last game was the Uro show. He gained me life, kept me alive, drew me extra cards, then ultimately won the game. Great place to be. I could shave a Delighted Halfling. It's a pretty bad top deck, and having 3 of them still gives me a high density to see in the early game. And it's the best target for Snuff Out in my deck, a card that I know they have. And I'm leaving my Terminuses in and Mana Dorks in your Terminus deck. Kind of a non-bow anyway. Yeah, I'll do it like this. The old no-lander full of great spells. Gonna mulligan it. The old 3-lander full of great spells. Gonna keep it. I will put this Tundra on the bottom of my deck. Sucks having Veil of Summer on the draw. Card is very good. Good enough that they have to take it immediately. And I'll run this Flooded Strand out there so I don't immediately get wastelanded. They know what I've got here. See what they're going to do about it. Going to cast Ponder. Okay. And another Thoughtseize. I suspect Swords to Plowshares will go here. Yep. How about Brainstorm to fix this hand? No love. I'm going to run out the fetch land. They've seen both of these, and not getting wasted off to Fairy seems pretty good here. I'm frequently wasted off to Fairy. Teferi is my drug. Cycling Troll in their upkeep. That does shuffle the Ponder they just played. Locks in a land drop and gives them a Chungus to reanimate. Okay. The third Thoughtseize in a row. And now they're in range to reanimate or play Death Shadow. Okay. My deck is full of removal spells, and they have a 6/6 in play. Big oof on drawing another land here. You have to block this with 3 or more creatures, though basically unblockable. My deck barely has 3 creatures in it. Gonna have to kill it with a removal spell. And I don't have forever to do it. Brainstorm. Him to Turok. Sure, my hand sucked anyway. Joke's on you. Now Uro's online if I draw him. Teferi Time Raveler. Okay. Well, let's try it. They have 2 cards left. If it's Force Blue card, good job. If it's not, I'm going to put this Troll in your hand. It is Force Blue card. Okay, they are empty. I'm on a 3-turn clock. 2 turns if I fetch. And they're down to 4 life. My deck's full of removal. Just need to find some of it. And the pitch to force was Daze. Okay. On big money, no whammies. Okay, I'll take that. Doesn't change the clock, but it is a redraw. And yeah, I can't block either, so doesn't change the clock. Pyroblast. Okay. Not the most helpful. Swamp Cycling, another Troll. Okay. Have another Underground Sea in their hand. See, they attack me to 4. I would have to fetch to 3 to play Uro. Then they can attack me for exactly 6. If I draw a green source, then Uro does change the clock without fetching. For real though, deck, I even have the Pyroblast backup. How about a white removal spell? Terminus? Terminus? The One Ring. I'll try it. Okay. They have 2 cards in hand. One of them's Underground Sea. I have to fetch a green source here. Tropical Island. Yeah, that's blue, blue, green, green for Uro. Please don't have days in your hand. I have protection from everything. The ring's going to kill me pretty quick, though. We're in there. I don't have to take damage here, but I think I need the card and go to 2. And then I draw 2, and then Uro has to win the game for me. Need a removal spell in these cards. It's a fairy, but then I'm dead to my ring. I'm a little short here. What do I do with this? I can just play Uro, gain 3 life, and draw Swords to Plowshares. I guess that's what I have to do. All right, I'll play Taiga, and then green, green, blue. Tapping Taiga is better than tapping Drop, leaving up Volk. Green, green, blue, blue. That red is not going to help me. Come on, Moto. Go with it here. Okay, I have to spike exactly Swords to Plowshares right now. Swords to Plowshares. Terminus. Not quite what I wanted. And I don't have enough blockers. Okay, they got this one. Triple Thoughtseize, Force of Will, barely stabilize. You love to see it. This deck can grind so well. Okay, I think my deck is how I want it to be. The only thing I could see is maybe if I think Pyroblast isn't where I want to be, I could bring in a Surgical, which can mess with some reanimation, because that does seem to be a large part of their deck. I'm just going to pivot that a little bit. Every card they cast that kills me is black. Veil of Summer, key. I can fetch for Savannah, and that gets me white mana. Okay, cool. Now I have Veil and Plow available. I'm not going to Ponder yet. I don't need to. I kind of hope they do Wasteland me, because I have Loam in my hand and my own Wasteland. I think I'll win the scrappy Wasteland game. Cycling a Troll. Okay. Getting a Watery Grave. This troll business is a lot of fun. I don't like how hard it's beating me, but it is a very cool engine that this deck has access to. Here's a Ponder. Wasteland. Okay. I'm going to float blue. Try to throw them off the scent of Veil of Summer. Okay. Passing the turn. And then I'm going to waste them back. And I'm going to settle into a Loam game where I think I am favored. Wasteland you. Scrappy, ugly Wasteland magic. I love it. Especially when I'm the one with light from the Loam. The Bloodstained Mire. This is not the Watery Grave that we already saw. Ponder. Drawing a fetch land would be cool here. Then I can insulate against Wasteland while still holding up Veil of Summer. Okay, I'm going to hold off on Loaming. This does expose me to Wasteland a little bit, but it keeps the Veil of Summer shield up. Yeah, that's not a Wasteland, and it's not the Watery Grave we saw either. They're good on lands for a while. I'm not going to try to Wastelock them. Love to draw a land naturally here. And we did. Time to fetch. Or I want access to both white and green on their turn, and Savannah is still in my deck. I can get Tundra here and cast Loam. Life from the Loam. That's where life is from. And it just resolved. No fuss, no muss. You have to discard a cleanup, and I think the Tropical Island's a little redundant here. Now they know how much of a squeeze they're in. They can see the Wasteland line coming. They can't play around Veil of Summer forever. They just brainstormed. We don't know that they have Watery Grave anymore. Good chance they don't, in fact. Okay, there it is. Now we know for sure. Hymn to Torok. They could daze this, but I'm still going to go for it. Daze sets them back a land when Wasteland is my plan. Yep, there's the daze. Hymn to Torok's a lot less scary when you have Light from the Loam going. I am going to dredge Loam. Urros are in my deck somewhere. Do I stick to Fairy first? I think I do. I'm going to put Teferi into play, playing around Daze. Force of Will, pitching Ponder. Wasteland, your Underground Sea. And now we're kind of in a little scrappy little hole here. Low resource game. I have Life from the Loam. I can waste them again. They're going to run out of lands to play spells eventually. And if they play too hard into my removal, that's also a problem. Murktide Regent, okay. First appearance of that one in the league. Life from the Loam, target Wasteland, Tropical Island, Misty, green blue, Surgicling Wasteland, sure. Down to 2 cards again. Has to be forced blue card for them to see another turn. They've been pretty good at having forced blue card in the past. Day's not good enough. Oh, this thing, it's gone. Okay, Wasteland Engine is off, but they are down to 2 cards, and they're facing down Uro Terminus. And they just had to use their Surgical on Wasteland instead of Uro. 1/1 Shadow, you got it. I'm not dredging Loam now. I think I'm good on those. Blue, green, colorless, leave up white. That's my removal color. Don't dredge Loam. Put in a land. Ponder. Just a million removal spells. Or one really good one. All right, I'll keep Flooded Strand on top. Not going to dredge Loam, not going to shuffle, and I'll pass and Terminus you, then shove Uro next turn is the line. It's really hard to 21 with a single shadow. I don't mind using Terminus as a 1-for-1 here. I would cast Prismatic Ending, I would cast Swords to Plowshares, and it's the same basic equation. 1 white to remove your creature from play. And then I'm going to shuffle first and then play Uro. Oh, they're done. Okay. I would also be done. Just ground them out. That's good Magic. On to the final round. For the absolute best Magic the Gathering apparel on the market, check out the link in the video description to coalesceapparel.shop, and be sure to use the code BoshNRoll for 10% off when you check out. Got a no-lander on the draw, playing for the bread and butter 4-1, already locked a positive record, and here we go. Keep and bottom one of these rings because there can't be 2. Those are the rules. It's right in the name of the card. Uh-oh. We are getting a Hull Breacher Stompied. I'd like a blue card ASAP. That's not that. The deck with Sappers and Scary in it is probably bad for this keep that I kept on the strength of 1 ring. This deck has at least 8 ways to stop me from drawing extra cards. And me without a blue card for my Force of Will. Versus Saga. Blue card, please. Blue card, please. Wasteland. Alright, that's a reasonable backup plan. I think I want to take out the Sappers and Scary, actually. That could mess up the Saga to a point where they just don't even get constructs out of it. Yeah, and they have to Hull Breacher now. I can see it. I know about it. The Saga could tutor Lion's Eye Diamond, and then we get echoed. Trying to find a blue card to go with Force before then. Oh, Ancient Tomb and Lion's Eye Diamond. We're just dead. This game is no longer winnable. If I draw to Fairy and can cast it uncounterably, bounce Hull Breacher with it, and cantrip into a blue card, maybe that's how this game is favorable, but that's certainly not it. Okay. Terminus is a card in my deck. That's what we're playing to at this point. Can also get protection from everything from the ring and just not activate it for a while. I can still cast it, nothing's stopping me. I'm gonna fetch for a Tundra in response to their search, just in case there's a needle. That's not how I would play this game, but I'm not my opponent. Aether Spellbomb, that can bounce my halfling. Functionally, sinkhole me for the game. Hate when my hole gets sunk. They did not sinkhole me. Great. Keep drawing lands. Just can't miss. I will get protection from everything for a turn. Still can't draw cards. I need them to not have a wheel, and then I need to rip Terminus off the top. And then the One Ring can take over. that is how this game could still be winnable. I guess even if they do wheel, I still have the chance to rip Terminus. It's the same one outer, basically. Seagate Restoration, ETB tapped. And I have no counters on the ring. Terminus off the top. Win the game. Terminus, it's time. Oh god, the second One Ring. Well, if protection from everything was good once, let's do it again. The 2 rings. That's the turn. Basically a redraw to Terminus. They've played another tap Seagate Restoration. Okay, Terminus, it's time. Terminus, 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 Terminus. Okay, we're dead. We don't need to keep playing this game. Okay, kind of a wild matchup. Not really normal in Legacy anymore, but potent against our type of strategy. Bring in a bunch of Pyroblasts, a bunch of Artifact Hate. I do still like the Terminus. We need the forces. One Ring, kind of a liability. Uro, kind of a liability. I still need these in because ultimately they are how I win games. I'm going to try not to get to a spot where I need to beg for Terminus. And now I have a bunch of ways to interact with their stuff a little better. I like Swords to Plowshares. I like Prismatic Ending. Hullbreacher is a beating. Could go -1 Halfling again. But this is a matchup where it's really good to shove to Fairy uncounterably early and often. Do I go down to 1 One Ring? I need the board completely empty. If their deck is functioning at all, the One Ring sucks. Okay. Hurts to take that out. I'm feeling what Gollum probably felt when he lost the ring. I'm going to go crawl around in caves and eat raw fish for a while. BRB. I'm going to keep this in with the turn 2 Teferi. Needs a little help after that, but that's a powerful start. As long as I don't get turn 1'd, I got a lot of potential here. I'm going to lead on Taiga to set up the possibility of Red Blast. Urza's Saga resolves. Lotus Petal resolves. Oh yeah, uncounterable Teferi. Bounce your Urza's Saga. Meltdown, set it up for later. Okay. White, blue, colorless, uncounterable Teferi. Bounce your Saga. Let's play that turn 1 over again, except I'm on turn 3. Saga's back. Now I get to untap with all this interaction and instant speed Meltdown and holy moly. Plus Teferi. Play a land that fetches Volcanic Island. Play a Hobbit. And attack with my other Hobbit. Alrighty. Pass the turn. Instant speed Meltdown, pretty good. I've heard. I would like to get a Pyroblast into my hand before it's too late. I'm going to ponder in the end step. I love Teferi. I love having him on turn 2. I love that it's not counterable. And I don't love any of these cards. I'm going to shuffle them. Looking for Pyroblast. There's Force of Will that I can cast the hard way. I'm just going to Tundra and plus Teferi here. Meltdown for 0 and Hardcast Force of Will are both available to me. I'm not even giving anything away with the no attack because they had a 2/2 blocker. I love the way that lined up. If they didn't have this Lotus Petal in play, not attacking would be suspicious. I'm going to fetch and response, play around Pithing Needle just in case. And get Tropical Island here. Get a Construct. Get a Pithing Needle, sure. Are we naming Teferi? What's the plan? Did name Teferi. I can still Meltdown for 1. And kill the Needle as well. Cool. Constructs attacking Teferi. Meltdown X equals 1. Boom. Shaking the earth with the power of my spells. Force of Will up. Still running pretty bad here. This is where boarding out 2 One Rings hurts a lot, because obviously that card is good sometimes, but also it's bad sometimes. And we're in a spot where it's good. Now I can force and push with my halflings. I could have left one of them back to leave up Plow plus Force. Then I can kill the Hullbreacher and counter something if they go like big 6 mana all at once, 2 big spells. That only matters if one of the spells is Hullbreacher. Aren't the Great Creator, no thanks. Fetch. I'll get Volcanic Island here. And Force of Will this card. Still have 6 in hand, and they're smashing. I would like another Counterspell, please, deck. Okay, we found another Counterspell, please, deck. Thank you, deck. I'm going to draw a card with Teferi. I don't have any busted sorceries in my hand. Does Karakas matter? I don't think so. I can cast all the spells in my hand and still attack for 2. I'm going to do that against the double Ancient Tomb in play. Every damage matters. Hull Breacher resolves. I can Swords to Plowshares that. I'm planning to attack through it, so I'm just going to plow it now. That does put them back to 8. Another plow. Play Karakas plus Teferi. My hand is exactly the same as it was last turn. We're playing the same turn over again. Cool, they've had enough. Turns out Instant Speed Meltdown for 4 permanents is pretty good. Is this a Deafening Silence matchup? I think I want my cantrips and velocity more than I want them to not do stuff. Is that possibly accurate? Should I have had this in the whole time? Did I bring a One Ring back in based on how I kind of petered out that game? I think I'm going to shave 1 halfling. On the draw, it's slightly worse, and it's a bad top deck. Deafening Silence stops them from going completely nutty and stops them from protecting their spells with stuff. I don't know if that's enough of a reason to bring it in versus how often I need to multi-spell in the game. That means I can't protect my spells with Pyroblast either. I am going +1 One Ring here. Yeah, I think this engine is important enough, and I've boarded in all my answers for the things that turn off that engine. Force of Vigor, but my only green card to pitch to it is the green card I want to play on turn 1. I'll take the risk. I'm going to keep. I have 2 free pieces of interaction and lands to play. It doesn't get much better than this, other than having Meltdown. Zappers and Scary. Hitting Needle. Alright, are you just going to like blind name Misty Rainforest? That would be super annoying. Wasteland, okay, sure. That's a good call. Swords to Plowshares. I'm going to ponder here. I would like to invest in the future of my life. Second plow, Taiga, and an Uro. Do kind of want the land. I don't think I'm going to need 2 plows this quick. Uro pitches to both forces in my hand. I'm going to just pad my hand up with Uro right now. Narset, that's super annoying. That one doesn't die to Swords to Plowshares. I guess I'm going to force a negation exiling Brainstorm, because if they shove this through, Brainstorm's blank anyway. Got away with it. Okay. Taiga, I'm going to play the fetch land, and I think I want to invest in Halfling here. I can pitch Uro to force if I need to force a Vigor, which doesn't even seem like it's going to be that important, honestly. And having delighted Halfling that can pressure Planeswalkers. Yep, that resolves. Definitely don't want Swords to Plowshares on top of my deck anymore. Chalice of the Void, yikes. But they missed a land drop. That's good. Fetch for a white source. Tundra is as good as any. Or that's not true. Yeah, Tundra is the correct one because Taiga's in my hand. I can hardcast Force of Vigor next turn. But doing that, I would give up an attack on Narset. I gotta attack Narset. Because getting 1 fewer activation out of this thing is so good. Or a same activation, but then it dies. Just threatening this card being gone. Too good. I'm not going to play Uro just for the land drop and the life. I feel like I can clear this Narset eventually. Here comes Chalice, which Force of Vigor lines up beautifully against. Put another point of damage on Narset. If I can make her dead, things get so much better. Gotta dodge Echo this turn. Zappers and Scary. That doesn't cast Echo right now. And I'm going to Force a Vigor. There are 2 forcible permanents in the end step for mana. Green, green, blue, blue. Do I have any double white? Do I want double red? I have a fetch land in my hand. This is all fixable if it somehow isn't correct. Needle, Chalice, Force it. Bang bang. Are we in there? Force of Will. Pitching Echo of Eons. Yikes. Okay. I can kill Narset this turn, and then play Uro. They have one card left in their hand. This Swords to Plowshares. Looking bad all of a sudden. Green, blue, colorless. Oh, I need a blue. Can't just say blue, you actually have to tap your land for it. Prismatic Ending. Oh, Meltdown. What's up? I have to Meltdown for X equals 1, and I can hold up Swords to Plowshares when I do it. Bang. Okay. Not worried about Hull Breacher. They have one card left in their hand. Karn the Great Creator is a beating. But that force pitching the Echo set back a lot of what I'm worried about. Oh, just down and dirty Days Undoing. Get your graveyard hate. Refill your hand. Fair enough. Okay. I am largely comfortable with a 7-card reset at all times in my life. I probably can't get 5 cards in my graveyard here. Green, blue, colorless. I'm leaving the Halfling untapped in case Uro cantrips into Teferi. That's something I'd rather have uncounterable than the front half of an Uro. Or, you know, like Minsc and Boo. Play to your powerful cards. They are in your deck somewhere. I'm going to fetch just to remind myself what sources of mana are still in the deck. A Trop and a Tundra. Okay. I can fetch Tundra, which means I can tap out of white here. Just want to make sure I leave up white-red. Okay, I can Pyroblast and I can Swords to Plowshares with the mana that I have. Minsc and Boo, uncounterable. Start getting in there. Make this clock very short. Okay. We're in the final stretch here. They have 8 cards in their hand. They can present some giant busted nonsense, or they can die very quickly. And those are the 2 choices I am giving them. The Meltdown did loop all the way from my graveyard back into my hand off the Days Undoing. Hitting Needle, fetch and response. They're probably naming Minsc and Boo, but I'm still gonna just make sure my options are up. There's a Savannah in there too. That one wasn't available off Scalding Tarn, but there is a fetchable left in the deck. Needle, Minsc and Boo, you got it. That'll die in the Meltdown with everything else. Or I can just Prismatic Ending it and keep pushing. Lots of choices. Saga, okay. If they do anything with this Sappers and Scary, it's gone. Okay, we're just going to my turn. Minsc and Boo. Do not make a new hamster. I'm happy with the one that I have. Baracus. And Prismatic Ending the Needle. See if they want to have any sort of fight over this. Anything I can get them in a fight over is good for me, because I think they're behind right now. And force pitching Narset. I am not going to fight back on this. I have the Pyroblast. It's basically easy money, but I think just attacking for 4 is enough. Or I can actually attack for 5 here. And I can Swords to Plowshares a Hull Breacher if they put one in. I'm not worried about that. Okay, that is what they're doing. 3 cards left in their hand. Swords to Plowshares. This. Those are life points that you have. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I Meltdown, I can Uro, but I don't think that's important, and I don't think that's the best use of Meltdown right now. Pyroblast still in my hand. Ancient Tomb, dangerous to the old life total. Anything that ends up in my graveyard gets me Uro this turn. Force of Will. I'm just going to attack with Boo. They can make a 2/2, which would eat a halfling. I could let them eat a halfling, second main Meltdown. I could Meltdown pre-combat, then halflings are better than their creatures, but I think still just holding up my interaction. I have 2 counterspells against their 3-card hand, and a sweeper versus their Urza Saga. Patience should be rewarded here, I expect. I damn near have more answers than they have cards, which is exactly where you want to be. Saga gets to tutor, either Spellbomb, that's cool. That can clear the Boo. And as far as they know, that's the end of that. I can chump with a Halfling here if they attack. I've been looking for an excuse to put a 5th card in my graveyard anyway. That's great. And then we can go to my turn and should be able to close it out from here. A meltdown for X equals 1. They'll bounce Boo in response, probably. They're hard casting Force of Negation. Here's the Pyroblast I've been sitting on for hundreds of years. And they tapped out of activating Spell Bomb by casting that Force. So they're actually just dead here. And even if they have Force Blue card at the end, but we got the GG's opponent. That was a fun match. This was a fun league, 4-1 record, other than the Doomsday kicking in round 1. Managed to grind out against a bunch of different kind of decks. Delighted Halfling feels like cheating. That turn 2 Teferi, the turn 3 One Ring, uncounterable stuff. That's really good. We did get a little bit of the tension of there were a few games where the board was clear and I just needed to get ahead somehow, and I drew Delighted Halfling instead of a spell, which is just the mana dork problem. But Delighted Halfling also just turn 3ing the One Ring and turn 2ing Teferi all the time is probably worth the squeeze. We played against 0 Orcish Bowmasters in this league, which is really weird, but maybe nature is healing. We're a couple weeks out after Lord of the Rings release, and maybe people are chilling out a little bit on that. The card's still great, but it might be settling into archetypes where it naturally belongs rather than just any friggin' deck. As far as the construction of this, I think 2 is a lot of Terminus. I know Anzi likes to build his decks to just never ever lose to Delver, and then we figure out everything else after that. And Delver is not that huge in the metagame right now. I think Terminus can be relegated to a sideboard card. Maybe we main deck the Loam, get the 4th Prismatic Ending in. Those are options there. 3 was also a lot of One Ring. I think we could get away with 2 and some other reasonable Magic card besides like a Dress Down or Endurance. Probably Dress Down is the one I would choose in that slot. I'll do this final list as the way I would do it. Terminus in the sideboard, Terminus out, One Ring out, Prismatic Ending number 4, Dress Down number 1. And this looks like a 75 I'm quite happy with. I like more than anything that this deck slams the door shut. Uncounterable Minsc and Boo, GG. Uncounterable One Ring, once it gets up to 2-3 cards, GG. One way or the other. The classic hot Bant problem is the clock. You get control and then it's just, you can't actually lose, but maybe you can't win in the time that you have, which is trouble on Magic Online, but that's totally your fault if you time out. In paper, it's a bigger problem when you share the clock with your opponent who may or may not be respecting the fact that your deck takes a long time to win, and having to remind them, like, hey, we're on the clock here, and having to balance what is a reasonable amount of time versus what is you being put in a squeeze by the deck that you chose. All that. I like being able to solve that problem, and Uncounterable Minsc and Boo really goes to town on that problem. But yeah, I'm going to leave this here. This was the 4-color Delighted Halfling One Ring Control, brought to you by The Gathering Place. Remember to check out their Modern 10K, Legacy 5K, Pioneer 5K charity weekend, August 18th to 20th in Durham, North Carolina. Links are in the video description. QR code's on your screen right now. Check it out. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and check out this event if you can go. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you next time.